Maya Johnson stood outside the big glass doors of Iron Fist Boxing Gym. Her hands were shaking a little bit. She had been saving money for 6 months to join this place. Every dollar from her job at the diner went into a small jar hidden under her bed. She worked after school serving coffee and burgers to people who barely looked at her. But now she had enough money to follow her dream. The 17-year-old girl took a deep breath and pushed open the heavy door. The smell hit her right away. It was sweat mixed with leather and something else she could not name. The sound of punching bags being hit filled the air. Men were grunting and breathing hard as they trained. The floor was covered with black mats that had seen better days. Maya looked around with wide eyes. This was nothing like the videos she watched on her phone. The gym was bigger and scarier than she thought it would be. There were about 15 people working out. Most of them were white men between 20 and 40 years old. A few women were there too, but they stayed in one corner doing what looked like fitness boxing. She walked slowly toward the front desk. Her worn-out sneakers squeaked on the floor. Some of the fighters stopped what they were doing to look at her. Their stares made her feel like she did not belong here. Maya tried to stand up straight and look confident even though her heart was beating fast. At the front desk sat a middle-aged woman with short brown hair. She looked up from her computer and smiled. Her name tag said Jenny. "Hi, honey. Can I help you with something?" Jenny asked in a friendly voice. "Yes, I want to join the gym. I brought the money for a monthly membership," Maya said. She pulled out an envelope full of $20 bills and some smaller ones. Jenny looked surprised for a second, but then smiled again. "Of course, dear. Let me get you the forms to fill out. Are you interested in fitness classes or actual boxing training?" "Real boxing training," Maya said without hesitation. "I want to learn how to fight properly." As Maya filled out the papers, she thought about why she was here. Her mom worked 2 jobs just to pay rent on their small apartment. Maya had grown up watching her mother struggle and fight for everything. When she discovered boxing videos online, she fell in love with the sport immediately. She spent hours watching old fights of Muhammad Ali dancing around the ring. She watched Layla Ali throwing perfect combinations. She studied how they moved their feet and how they protected themselves. Maya dreamed of being like them someday. She wanted to be strong and powerful and respected. But more than that, she needed boxing right now. At school, some kids made fun of her old clothes and the fact that she worked at the diner. At home, she could hear her mom crying sometimes when she thought Maya was asleep. Boxing was the one thing that made Maya feel like she had control over something. Jenny handed her a membership card with her name printed on it. "Welcome to Iron Fist, Maya. Training starts at 6 in the morning and goes until 10 at night. You can come whenever you want during those hours." Maya thanked her and walked toward the training area. She had brought a pair of old gloves that she bought from a second-hand store. They were too big for her hands, but they would have to work for now. She found an empty spot near a heavy bag that looked like it had been used for many years. The leather was cracked and tape held some parts together. Maya put on her gloves and threw her first punch at the bag. It felt amazing. All the worry and fear she had been carrying melted away for just a moment. This was where she belonged. This was what she was meant to do. Maya did not know that her real fight was just beginning, and it would not be against a punching bag. Maya had been hitting the old punching bag for about 20 minutes when she heard a loud voice behind her. "Hey you, new girl." She turned around and saw a man walking toward her. He was tall and thick with gray hair and cold blue eyes. His face looked like he was always angry about something. He wore a black shirt that said Iron Fist Gym Coach on the front. "I am Coach Mike Richards. I run the training here," he said, looking Maya up and down like she was something he did not want to see. Maya stopped punching and took off one glove to shake his hand. "Hi, Coach Richards. I am Maya Johnson. I just joined today, and I really want to learn boxing." Coach Richards did not shake her hand. Instead, he crossed his arms and kept staring at her with those cold eyes. "Yeah, well, we get a lot of people who think they want to learn boxing," he said slowly. "Most of them quit after a week or two. especially certain types of people who think this is like what they see in movies. Maya felt something cold in her stomach when he said certain types of people. She knew what he meant, but she tried to stay positive. I am not going to quit, coach. I have been saving money for months to join here. Boxing is my dream, she said. Coach Richards made a sound like he was trying not to laugh. Dreams are nice, kid, but this sport takes real dedication. It takes discipline and hard work. Not everyone has what it takes to stick around. He walked around her in a circle like he was studying an animal at the zoo. Maya felt very uncomfortable, but she stood still and tried to look strong. Most people who look like you prefer other activities, Coach Richards continued. Maybe dancing or basketball, or something more natural for your people. Boxing requires a different kind of mental strength. Maya's hands turned into fists. She knew exactly what he was saying now. Her mom had warned her that some people would try to make her feel like she did not belong places, but Maya had hoped things would be different here. I want to learn real boxing, Coach Richards. I am willing to work harder than anyone else here, she said, keeping her voice calm and respectful. Coach Richards pointed to the punching bag she had been using. It was the oldest and most damaged one in the gym. All the other bags looked newer and better. You can keep using that bag over there. It is perfect for beginners who are just trying out the sport, he said. The other equipment is for serious fighters who have been here a long time. Maya looked around and saw that the white fighters were using nice new bags and speed bags and other equipment she wanted to try. When can I start taking the advanced classes? Maya asked. Coach Richards shook his head. Advanced classes are probably too intense for someone like you. They require real commitment and toughness. I think you should stick to basic fitness boxing for now. Maybe after a few months we can see if you are ready for more. Maya watched as he pointed to a corner where a few women were doing light exercise with small gloves. They were barely breaking a sweat and looked like they were just trying to lose weight. That is not what I want, coach. I want to learn real fighting, Maya said. We will see, Coach Richards said with a mean smile. First, you need to prove you can handle the basics. Come back tomorrow at the same time, and we will start you with some simple drills. He walked away without saying goodbye. Maya stood there feeling smaller than when she first walked into the gym, but then she remembered why she was here. She put her glove back on and hit the old bag even harder than before. She would show Coach Richards that he was wrong about her. 3 weeks had passed since Maya started training at Iron Fist Gym. Every day she hoped things would get better, but they only got worse. Coach Richards seemed to make it his personal mission to make her life difficult. Maya would arrive at the gym ready to train, but Coach Richards would pretend he forgot she was there. When the other fighters were doing partner drills, he would tell Maya to keep hitting the old punching bag by herself. When everyone else was learning new combinations, he would give Maya basic exercises that a 5-year-old could do. Maya, you just keep working on your jabs, he would say loudly so everyone could hear. Some people need more time with the simple stuff before they can handle real boxing moves. The other gym members started following Coach Richards' lead. They would take up all the good equipment right before Maya got there. Her water bottle would mysteriously get knocked over and spill all over the floor. Someone even threw away her hand wraps once, and she had to buy new ones. The worst part was during training time. Coach Richards would make comments that seemed innocent to anyone not paying close attention, but Maya knew what he really meant. Boxing is a thinking sport, he would announce to the class while looking straight at Maya. It requires intelligence and strategy. Not everyone has the mental capacity for it. Some people are better at sports that use natural physical gifts instead of brains. Maya felt her face get hot with anger every time, but she never said anything back. Her mother had taught her to pick her battles wisely. But inside she was building up a fire that was getting stronger every day. Coach Richards also made sure Maya felt unwelcome in other ways. He would schedule her training sessions during the busiest times when the gym was packed with people. Maya would have to squeeze between sweaty men to get to her corner with the old equipment. She could feel everyone staring at her like she was some kind of circus act. Sorry, Maya, but all the other time slots are completely full, Coach Richards would say with a fake smile. You understand, right? We have to accommodate our long-term members first. Maya knew this was a lie because she had seen the schedule book. There were plenty of empty spots during quieter hours, but Coach Richards wanted her to feel uncomfortable and out of place. The breaking point came when Maya asked if she could try using the speed bag. She had been watching other fighters use it and wanted to improve her hand speed. Coach Richards looked at her like she had asked to fly to the moon. The speed bag requires coordination and rhythm, he said, shaking his head. Maybe you should focus on building basic strength first. Here, take this mop and clean up around the heavy bags. That will be good exercise for you. Maya took the mop without arguing, but her hands were shaking with rage. She was being treated like a janitor instead of a fighter. The other gym members pretended not to notice what was happening. Some of them looked uncomfortable, but nobody said anything to help her. That night, Maya went home and cried for the first time since starting at the gym. But after the tears stopped, she made herself a promise. She would not let Coach Richards break her spirit. She would find a way to prove that she belonged in that gym just as much as anyone else. Maya began staying later after most people left. She would practice on the equipment that Coach Richards said she was not ready for. She studied boxing videos on her phone until her eyes hurt. She was going to show everyone what she was really made of. Maya had been training at Iron Fist Gym for 3 months. She thought she had seen the worst of Coach Richards' behavior, but she was wrong. What happened on that Tuesday evening would change everything. The gym was more crowded than usual that night. About 20 fighters were there, including some new members who had just joined. Coach Richards was in a particularly bad mood because one of his favorite students had lost a fight the weekend before. "All right, everyone, gather around," Coach Richards called out. "Tonight we are going to work on defensive techniques. I need someone to help me demonstrate the proper way to block and counter-punch." Maya was hitting her usual punching bag in the corner when she heard him call her name. "Maya, come over here. You can be my training dummy for tonight." Maya felt her stomach drop. She had never been called to the center of the gym before. Everyone was staring at her as she walked over to where Coach Richards was standing. He had boxing gloves on and was bouncing on his feet like he was getting ready for a real fight. "Now everyone watch carefully," Coach Richards announced to the crowd. "I am going to show you how to defend against different types of attacks. Maya here is going to help me demonstrate." He handed Maya a pair of gloves that were too big for her hands. She put them on even though something felt wrong about this whole situation. "Put your guard up," Coach Richards told her. "I am going to throw some light punches and you try to block them." At first the punches were gentle taps that barely touched Maya. But after a few minutes, Coach Richards started hitting harder. His punches were landing on her arms and shoulders with real force. "You need to keep your guard higher," he said loudly so everyone could hear. "Some people learn slower than others, so we have to be patient." The crowd was watching silently as Coach Richards continued his demonstration. Maya kept her gloves up and tried to block his punches, but he was much bigger and stronger than her. Then Coach Richards said something that made Maya's blood turn cold. "You know, boxing has always been about toughness," he said while throwing a hard jab that hit Maya in the ribs. "Back in the old days, people had to be really tough to survive. Your ancestors probably knew all about that kind of toughness when they were working in the cotton fields." The gym went completely quiet. Maya could not believe what she had just heard. Some of the fighters looked uncomfortable and stared at the floor. A few others were trying not to smile. Coach Richards kept throwing punches while he talked. Each one was harder than the last. "Boxing separates the strong from the weak," he continued. "It shows who has real heart and who is just pretending. Some people think they can just walk into a gym and become fighters, but this sport requires something special." Maya felt a punch land on her jaw that made her head snap back. Her lips split, and she could taste blood in her mouth. But she did not back down or lower her guard. "Maybe some people should stick to activities that come more naturally to them," Coach Richards said with an evil smile. "Like dancing or cooking or cleaning. Things that do not require the mental strength that real boxing demands." Several people in the crowd laughed nervously. Maya stood in the center of the ring with blood running down her chin, but her eyes were burning with fire. Coach Richards lowered his gloves and looked around at everyone like he had just finished teaching an important lesson. "I think that is enough demonstration for tonight," he said. "Maya, you can go clean yourself up. Maybe this will help you understand what real boxing training is like." Maya slowly took off her gloves. Her whole body was shaking, but not from fear. She was shaking from pure rage. She looked Coach Richards right in the eyes and spoke in a voice that everyone could hear. "Thank you for the lesson, Coach Richards. I learned exactly what I needed to know tonight." She walked out of the gym with her head held high. But Maya Johnson was not going home to cry or quit. She was going home to plan her revenge. Maya went home that night with a split lip and a burning desire for revenge. She looked at herself in the bathroom mirror and made a promise. She would not just survive at Iron Fist Gym. She would dominate it. The next morning, Maya woke up at 5 o'clock and started her new training routine. She did push-ups and sit-ups in her tiny bedroom until her muscles screamed. She ran up and down the stairs of her apartment building until she could barely breathe. Then she went to work at the diner like nothing had happened. But the real training began at night. Maya discovered that the gym stayed open late for cleaning and maintenance. She started showing up at 9:30 when most people had gone home. Only a few serious fighters stayed that late, and they usually ignored her. That was when Maya met Joe Washington. Joe was the night janitor at Iron Fist Gym. He was a thin black man in his 60s with gray hair and gentle eyes. Maya had seen him emptying trash cans and mopping floors, but had never talked to him before. One night Joe was cleaning near the heavy bags when he stopped to watch Maya train. She was practicing the same combinations over and over, trying to perfect her technique. "Your footwork is all wrong," Joe said quietly. Maya stopped punching and looked at him in surprise. She had never heard Joe speak before. "You are putting too much weight on your front foot," he continued. "That makes you slow and off balance. Here, let me show you something." Joe put down his mop and stepped in front of Maya. Even though he was old and wearing a janitor uniform, Maya could see that he moved like a fighter. "Keep your weight centered and stay light on your toes," Joe demonstrated. "Boxing is like dancing. You need to be able to move in any direction at any time." Maya copied his movements and immediately felt the difference. She was faster and more balanced than before. "How do you know so much about boxing?" Maya asked. Joe smiled for the first time since she had met him. "I used to fight professionally back in the day. Had 32 wins and only 5 losses before I retired. Been around boxing for over 40 years. Maya could not believe what she was hearing. She had been struggling to learn basic techniques when there was an expert right under her nose. "Would you teach me?" Maya asked hopefully. Joe looked around the empty gym and then back at Maya. He had seen what Coach Richards was doing to her, and he did not like it one bit. "I finished cleaning at 10:30, Joe said. "If you want to stay late, I can show you some things. But this has to be our secret." Coach Richards would not like it if he knew. From that night on, Maya had 2 different training schedules. During the day, she endured Coach Richards' harassment and trained on the old equipment in the corner. But at night, she learned real boxing from a man who had forgotten more about fighting than Coach Richards ever knew. Joe taught Maya how to throw combinations that flowed together like water. He showed her how to slip punches and counterattack. Most importantly, he taught her how to think like a fighter instead of just swinging wildly. Maya also found an unexpected ally in Lisa Chen. Lisa was a college student who came to the gym 3 times a week for fitness classes. She had witnessed Coach Richards' behavior toward Maya and felt guilty about staying silent. One evening, Lisa approached Maya in the locker room. "I know what Coach Richards is doing to you is wrong," Lisa said quietly. "I have been recording some of it on my phone when he does not notice." Maya was surprised but grateful. She had felt so alone in her struggle. "Why are you helping me?" Maya asked. "Because what he is doing is not right," Lisa replied. "And because I can see that you are a real fighter. You deserve better than this." With Joe training her at night and Lisa documenting the harassment, Maya began to feel stronger. She was not just getting better at boxing. She was building a team of people who believed in her. Coach Richards had no idea that his victim was transforming into something much more dangerous. 4 months had passed since Maya first walked into Iron Fist Gym. During the day, she still endured Coach Richards' harassment, but at night she had been training with Joe Washington. Her skills had improved dramatically, but she kept her progress hidden from everyone except Joe and Lisa. Maya was now faster, stronger, and smarter than when she started. Joe had taught her advanced techniques that most amateur fighters never learned. She could slip punches like a ghost and counterattack with deadly precision. But most importantly, Joe had taught her to control her anger and use it as fuel instead of letting it burn her up inside. The opportunity Maya had been waiting for came during the last Friday of the month. Iron Fist Gym held monthly amateur tournaments where members could challenge each other to friendly sparring matches. It was always the most crowded night at the gym, with people coming to watch the fights. Maya had been thinking about this moment for weeks. She knew exactly what she needed to do. That Friday evening, the gym was packed with over 50 people. The boxing ring in the center was set up with proper lighting, and even a small crowd of spectators sitting on folding chairs. Coach Richards was acting like the master of ceremonies, introducing each fight and making jokes with the crowd. Maya watched from her usual corner as several matches took place. The fighters were all men, and they put on good shows for the audience. Coach Richards was clearly enjoying being the center of attention. During a break between fights, Maya walked slowly toward the ring. Every step felt like it took forever, but she kept moving forward. The crowd started to notice her and conversations began to quiet down. Maya stepped up to the ring where Coach Richards was adjusting the ropes. "Coach Richards," Maya said in a voice loud enough for everyone to hear, "I would like to challenge you to a sparring match." The entire gym went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Coach Richards turned around with a look of complete shock on his face. "What did you say?" he asked. Maya took a deep breath and spoke even louder. "I am challenging you to a friendly sparring match. I want to show everyone how much I have learned from your excellent teaching." The crowd began to murmur with excitement. Some people were laughing and making comments about how crazy this was. Coach Richards looked around at all the faces staring at him. "Maya, this is not a good idea," he said, trying to sound concerned. "These matches are for experienced fighters. You could get seriously hurt." "I understand the risks, Coach," Maya replied. "But I have been training hard, and I think I am ready. Unless you think I am too dangerous for you to handle." Coach Richards' face turned red. Maya had put him in an impossible position. If he refused to fight her, he would look weak in front of everyone. But if he accepted, he would be fighting a teenage girl, which could make him look like a bully. The crowd was getting louder now. People were shouting suggestions and placing bets on what would happen. The energy in the room was electric. "Come on, Coach Richards," someone yelled from the back. "Show the kid what real boxing looks like." "Yeah, give her the lesson she is asking for," another person added. Coach Richards realized he had no choice. His reputation was on the line and backing down was not an option. "Fine," he said with a mean smile spreading across his face. "If you want to learn the hard way, then I will teach you. But do not say I did not warn you." The crowd erupted with cheers and applause. People were pulling out their phones to record what was about to happen. Maya felt her heart racing, but not from fear. This was the moment she had been preparing for. "We will fight next Friday night," Coach Richards announced. "That will give you a week to change your mind, Maya. I suggest you think very carefully about what you are asking for." Maya looked him straight in the eyes and smiled. "I have been thinking about this for months, Coach Richards. I will be ready." As Maya walked back to her corner, she could hear people talking excitedly about the upcoming fight. Some were saying she was crazy. Others were wondering if she actually had a chance. Joe was waiting for her near the heavy bags with a proud smile on his face. "You sure about this?" he asked quietly. Maya nodded. "I have never been more sure of anything in my life." "Then we better get to work," Joe said. "We have 1 week to get you ready for the fight of your life." Friday night arrived faster than Maya expected. She had spent the entire week training with Joe every night after the gym closed. They worked on strategy, timing, and mental preparation. Joe taught her how to study her opponent and find weaknesses that could be exploited. Coach Richards is bigger and stronger than you, Joe had explained during their final training session. But he is also older and out of shape. He has been relying on his size to intimidate people for years. He does not expect you to be a real threat. The gym was more crowded than Maya had ever seen it. Word about the fight had spread through the neighborhood, and people came from other gyms to watch. There were over 70 people packed into the space, and the energy was incredible. Maya sat in the corner getting her hands wrapped by Joe. Her stomach was full of butterflies, but her mind was clear and focused. She had visualized this moment hundreds of times over the past week. "Remember everything we practiced," Joe whispered as he finished wrapping her hands. "Stay calm and stick to the plan. You are ready for this." Across the gym, Coach Richards was surrounded by his supporters. He was laughing and joking like this was going to be the easiest fight of his life. He kept looking over at Maya and making comments that his friends found hilarious. "I hope someone called an ambulance," Coach Richards said loud enough for Maya to hear. "This girl has no idea what she just got herself into." The crowd was clearly on Coach Richards' side. Most people were there to watch Maya get beaten down by the man who had been tormenting her for months. They expected this to be over quickly. The referee was another coach from a nearby gym who had volunteered to make sure the fight stayed fair. He called both fighters to the center of the ring for final instructions. Maya stood next to Coach Richards, and the size difference was obvious. He was 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighed over 200 pounds. Maya was 5 feet 6 inches and weighed 130 pounds. She looked like a child standing next to him. "I want a clean fight," the referee announced. 3 rounds of 3 minutes each. If I think someone is in danger, I will stop the fight immediately." Coach Richards looked down at Maya with a smug expression. "Last chance to back out, kid. I do not want to hurt you too badly." Maya looked up at him with steel in her eyes. "The only thing that is going to hurt is your pride when this is over." The crowd cheered as both fighters went to their corners. Maya put in her mouthpiece and pulled on her headgear. Joe gave her final words of encouragement. "Box smart, not hard," he reminded her. "Make him chase you and tire himself out. When you see your opening, take it." The bell rang for round 1 and Maya walked to the center of the ring. Coach Richards came out aggressive, throwing big looping punches that were meant to end the fight early. The crowd was cheering for him to knock Maya out. But Maya was ready. She slipped his punches and moved around the ring exactly like Joe had taught her. Coach Richards kept swinging wildly, but could not connect with anything solid. By the end of the first round, he was already breathing harder than he should have been. "He is getting frustrated," Joe told Maya between rounds. "Keep doing exactly what you are doing. Make him work for everything." Round 2 started with Coach Richards trying a different approach. He slowed down his punches and tried to use his reach advantage to keep Maya at a distance. But Maya had been preparing for this too. She got inside his guard and started landing quick combinations to his body. The crowd began to get quieter as they realized this was not going the way they expected. Maya was not just surviving. She was actually outboxing Coach Richards. By the end of round 2, Coach Richards was sweating heavily and looking worried. Maya looked fresh and confident as she sat in her corner listening to Joe's advice. "He is hurt and tired," Joe whispered. "This is when you take control. Go out there and show everyone what you are really made of." Round 3 was when Maya Johnson stopped being the victim and became the hunter. The bell for round 3 rang through the packed gym like a battle cry. Maya came out of her corner with a confidence that surprised everyone, including herself. Coach Richards looked tired and frustrated as he shuffled toward the center of the ring. For the first time since the fight began, Maya was the one pressing forward. She had spent 2 rounds studying Coach Richards' timing and movement patterns. Now she knew exactly when he was going to throw each punch before he even knew it himself. Coach Richards tried to land a big right hand that would have knocked out most people. But Maya saw it coming from a mile away. She ducked under the punch and came up with a sharp uppercut that snapped Coach Richards' head back. The crowd gasped in surprise. That was the first real punch Maya had landed, and it got everyone's attention. "Get her, Mike," someone yelled from the crowd. "Stop playing around." But Coach Richards was not playing around anymore. He was in a real fight, and for the first time he realized he might be in trouble. Maya was faster than he expected, and much more skilled than anyone knew. Maya continued to press forward, landing quick combinations, and then moving out of range before Coach Richards could counter. She was fighting exactly like Joe had taught her. Every movement had a purpose, and every punch was thrown with perfect timing. Coach Richards was getting more desperate with each passing minute. His big punches were missing by wider margins, and he was breathing like he had been running for hours. The man who had spent months bullying Maya was now the one being dominated. "What is wrong with you, Mike?" another supporter shouted. "She is just a kid." That comment seemed to make Coach Richards even more angry. His face was red with embarrassment and exhaustion. He started throwing wild punches with no technique or strategy behind them. Maya stayed calm and patient. She had been waiting for this moment when Coach Richards would lose control and make the mistake that would end the fight. It happened with 30 seconds left in the round. Coach Richards wound up for a massive right hook that he put all his weight behind. It was the same punch he had used to intimidate other fighters for years, but Maya was ready for it. She leaned back just enough to let the punch sail past her face. Coach Richards' momentum carried him forward and off balance. Maya stepped to her left and threw the perfect combination that Joe had drilled into her thousands of times. First came a straight left hand that caught Coach Richards on the side of his jaw. Before he could recover, Maya followed with a right hook that landed perfectly on his chin. The two punches happened so fast that most people in the crowd did not even see them clearly. Coach Richards' eyes rolled back in his head and his knees buckled. He fell forward like a tree being cut down and hit the canvas with a loud thud that echoed through the silent gym. The referee immediately started counting. 1, 2, 3. Maya stood in the corner watching Coach Richards try to get up, but his body would not cooperate. He was conscious but completely dazed and confused. 4, 5, 6. The gym was so quiet you could hear people breathing. Everyone was staring in complete shock at what they had just witnessed. 7, 8. Coach Richards managed to get to one knee, but he was swaying back and forth like he was drunk. The referee took one look at him and waved the fight off. "That is it. The fight is over." Maya raised her hands in victory as the reality of what just happened hit her. She had not just won the fight. She had knocked out the man who had been making her life miserable for 4 months. The crowd slowly began to cheer and clap. Even the people who had been rooting against Maya had to respect what they had just seen. She had proven herself in the most definitive way possible. Joe climbed into the ring and hugged Maya with tears in his eyes. "I am so proud of you," he whispered. "You fought like a champion tonight." Coach Richards finally got back to his feet, with help from 2 other fighters. He looked around the gym with confusion and embarrassment written all over his face. He had been knocked out cold by the teenage girl he had been calling weak and worthless. Maya walked over to where Coach Richards was standing and extended her hand to him. Even after everything he had done to her, she showed him respect as a fellow fighter. Coach Richards looked at her hand for a long moment before reluctantly shaking it. He could not even look her in the eyes. Maya Johnson had just announced to the world that she was no longer a victim. She was a fighter who demanded respect. Maya woke up the next morning feeling like she was living in a completely different world. Her phone had dozens of text messages from people who had heard about the fight. Some were congratulating her, while others were asking if the story they heard was really true. Word about what happened at Iron Fist Gym had spread through the boxing community faster than wildfire. A 17-year-old girl knocking out her racist coach was the kind of story that people would talk about for years. When Maya arrived at the gym on Saturday morning, she was not sure what to expect. She had been thinking that Coach Richards might try to get revenge on her or kick her out of the gym entirely. But Coach Richards was nowhere to be found. Jenny at the front desk told Maya that Coach Richards had called early that morning to say he was quitting his job immediately. He claimed he had found a position at another gym across town, but everyone knew the real reason he was leaving. The gym felt completely different without Coach Richards' negative energy poisoning the atmosphere. Other fighters who had ignored Maya for months were now coming up to introduce themselves and ask about her training routine. "I have been boxing for 5 years, and I have never seen anything like what you did last night," said Tommy Martinez, a welterweight who had always been one of Coach Richards' favorites. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" Maya smiled and pointed to Joe, who was mopping the floors nearby. "Joe Washington taught me everything I know. He is the best coach I have ever had." Word spread quickly that Joe was the one who had trained Maya. By the end of the week, the gym owner offered Joe a full-time position as the new head trainer. Joe had gone from being an invisible janitor to being the most respected coach in the building. Lisa Chen had shown the video recording she made to the gym owner and several members of the local boxing commission. Coach Richards' pattern of harassment and discrimination was finally exposed for everyone to see. The gym owner issued a formal apology to Maya and implemented new policies to make sure nothing like this ever happened again. Maya became something of a local celebrity. The story of her victory appeared in the newspaper and on social media. Young fighters from all over the city started coming to Iron Fist Gym, hoping to train with the girl who had knocked out her bully. But the attention did not change who Maya was at heart. She continued working at the diner to help her mother pay bills. She still trained every night with the same intensity and focus that had carried her to victory. 3 months after the fight, Maya entered her first official amateur tournament. She won all 4 of her matches by knockout and took home the championship trophy. College scouts started calling to offer her boxing scholarships. Maya chose a university that had both a strong boxing program and excellent academic opportunities. She wanted to be more than just a fighter. She planned to study business and sports management so she could help other young athletes who faced discrimination. 2 years later, Maya opened her own boxing gym in the same neighborhood where she grew up. The gym was designed to be a safe space for kids who had been told they did not belong in sports because of their race or background. Above the entrance to Maya Gym was painted a simple message that captured everything she believed in. "Fight for your dreams, not against your fears." Joe Washington became the head trainer at Maya New Gym. Together, they created a program that focused not just on boxing skills, but also on building character and self-confidence in young people. Maya never forgot the lessons she learned during those difficult months at Iron Fist Gym. The experience taught her that sometimes you have to fight for your right to exist in spaces where you are not wanted. But more importantly, it showed her the power of having people believe in you when you are ready to give up on yourself. Years later, when young fighters would ask Maya for advice about dealing with discrimination, she would always tell them the same thing. "The people who try to tear you down are usually the ones who are most afraid of your potential. Do not let their fear become your limitation. Train harder than everyone else, and let your success be the loudest response to their hate." Maya Johnson had walked into Iron Fist Gym as a scared teenager looking for a place to belong. She walked out as a champion who had learned that respect is not given freely. Sometimes you have to fight for it with everything you have.